right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World. And here we go.
Everybody here. Everybody here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Good afternoon. It is 4:06 on a Wednesday afternoon. We're glad that you're with us. This is Mac's World Live on 99.3 FM The Truth. My name is Chris. I'm filling in for Mac today and actually, for the rest of the week. I'm sorry. Please don't turn us off. But we're going to be here. Frank's going to be here. Bob's going to be here for the rest of the week. And actually, if you were listening and you just heard me talk about Safe Water International Ministries just a moment ago, that was my voice talking about what they do. A group of folks from Safe Water International Ministries are going to be with us this Friday. It'll be a great opportunity for you to call in and ask questions about what it is that Safe Water International Ministries does. Because right now you're kind of thinking, Safe Water International Ministries, what is that? Do they build wells or something? No, they don't build wells or something. So stick around and listen this Friday as we learn more about them. So Frank is here. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Are you ready for another exciting hour of radio broadcasting?
Bring it on.
All right, here we go. And Bob's here watching the text line. You can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And Bob, do you just kind of have text conversations with our listeners and you guys just go off talking about the sports or talking about football or something?
Sometimes, it's how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing fine.
How you doing? Yeah, real casual.
It's kind of hard when you say doing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How do you spell that? How do you spell doing?
Doooin.
How many O's was that?
Doing. Yeah, so sometimes I get those things coming in, or sometimes they make a comment like "Chris, shut up," or "Frank, shut up," and I say, I agree. I agree.
How many? What's the tally on that? Who's getting more shut ups?
Oh,
everybody says shut up, Chris.
I'm not counting.
We need a count.
You need to ding every time we get a shut up. Somebody shut up.
If I keep doing that, people are going to be looking at their phones. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Somebody keep. Those are all the shut up texts. Most of them right now are just like, stop ringing the bell. Put the bell down. Somebody take the bell from him. Quick. No one can grab the bell from me. No one. All right. And Jeb is producing the broadcast today in a suit, I might add.
Yeah, I actually had a presentation today to give on comm law, so that's why I'm in the suit.
You were being your communications specialist.
We were doing a role play activity on ethics in business.
Ethics in business.
Yeah, well, that one's hard. So either you make money or you lack on the ethics. So.
See, is it ethical to make money?
Yeah, I think you could do it in an ethical way. There's a way, it's hard.
Look, everybody, there are so many people right now listening to the radio going, are you kidding me? This is what's wrong with America today. We've got young people not sure if it's ethical to make money. And they're protesting, walking out on the streets. Donald Trump is not your president, is he, Jeb? You're one of these. You're angry at this capitalist country that you love that's given you everything that you've ever wanted.
I can see how triggered he is.
Well, I voted for Trump, so...
okay, all right.
No.
Well, Chris, I heard a talk show host once say that there's inequities in both capitalism and socialism, but the difference is in capitalism, I'm given the choice to share. So if you're a Christian and you're a capitalist and you earn a lot of money... You have that ability for Christ to come and woo your heart and say, hey, give some of that away to the needy.
Well, go ahead.
In socialism, you don't have that choice.
By the way, let me introduce everybody because he's getting ready to talk. Robert Dunn is with us. John Wilkins is with us. Wilkin, no S at the end. Thank you very much.
Correct.
And
for goodness sake.
Taylor.
It was there in my head, and I looked at you, and I went, I have nothing. Taylor Collins.
Yes.
Right, you've got the S. He doesn't.
Yep.
Wow, I'm good. All right, Robert, go ahead. The three of those gentlemen are Iowa State students. They jogged all the way down here. You guys look great for making the run down.
We took a shower before we came in, but
yeah, well, Yep. You didn't want it to smell like a locker room in here.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we kind of like segue back when you're mainly talking about, free speech and right to protest. One of the things that my organization, Young Americans for Freedom, was wanting to do on campus is to bring ideas about, like, is it ethical? Is it moral? Is it morally right to want to make a lot of money? And our argument is, yes, you need money to be very generous. I mean, has anyone ever been offered a job by a homeless person?
Probably not.
Probably you need someone with a lot of money.
I don't know. Does Mac have a place to live, Frank? He might be. I don't know where he lives. Anyway.
But, I mean, that's like what kind of like conservative organizations on college campuses, we're kind of like having an uphill battle because what we're being taught in the classrooms, not really into business college or into engineering college, but mainly into liberal arts and humanities, is that making money is evil. Capitalism is wrong and immoral. We need socialism.
And it doesn't work, apparently. It was 2 summers ago I came down for orientation, and I was informed that I had to take an ethics course in the business college in order to teach me to be an ethical business person. Thank God we have that program, so we have ethical business persons coming out of Iowa State's Business College.
What did you learn in this ethics class?
Well, I learned... That's a good question. What did I learn?
Don't ever ask a student what they learned. I know my daughter's 8, and I ask her, what did you learn today, honey? I didn't learn anything. So, well, good job on that one. No, I'm kidding. But it's hard to remember what you... But, I think that's a good question. I have a good friend of mine who is a Democrat, and he said, how can you be... I've read this Jesus guy, and he said, love your neighbor. If you see somebody who doesn't have a coat and you've got one, give him one, that kind of stuff. And Jesus just a big socialist. And how can you be a Christian and be a capitalist? It just seems antithetical to all things that are Christian. But what do you guys think about that? I'm assuming that most of us are Christians in this room anyway.
I don't remember seeing in the Bible anywhere where it mandated the redistribution of wealth. I remember seeing voluntary gifting, but I don't see mandated government confiscation and redistribution.
Yeah, it wasn't like Jesus basically took by force all of the disciples and apostles' private property and redistributed them in a way that a socially just manner. I think he basically was saying, if you're blessed with more, you'll be responsible with being generous with more. And so basically wealth is actually a gift from God. It's basically, learn this from Dave Ramsey. God wants people to be wealthy so they'll be wise stewards and wise and generous stewards.
Well, money is, so if we just take money off the table and you think about it in some other means, you're a farmer. Let's just say you have a lot of land and you grow food on that land. You guys are Midwest folks. You understand?
Sure, I got farm family.
Yeah. So you take a seed, you take one seed, you stick it in the ground. Do you get one seed back?
Oh,
no.
Nope.
You get more. And then from that, you have some more seeds, and you take those seeds and you plant them in the ground, and you have more. So on and so forth. And at some point, very easily, within a short period of time, you actually have more than your family can consume. There's a lot of people I know that even have backyard chickens. Mm-hmm. And many people I know that have backyard chickens in the urban area are trying to find people to take their eggs because they got too many eggs. That stinking God. Making the world like that with abundance. He's crazy. He likes wealth. He likes people who have chickens to have lots of eggs so that they can have eggs for themselves and have eggs for their neighbors. That God creating the world like that, doesn't he understand capitalism's bad? Doesn't he understand profit's wrong? Doesn't he understand these things? I don't know.
Well, that same farmer that can grow a crop can sell that crop for profit, and then he can donate what is left over that he wants to choose to set aside to food banks. But that's his choice. That's his option. That's Christ wooing his heart to do something for the downtrodden. But as I said, in socialism kills incentive. Socialism kills productivity. Socialism causes people to want to sit around and have somebody else give something to them, as opposed to earn it for themselves. There's no pride in what they're doing. So there's inequities in both systems. I just happen to find that capitalism is a better system because you have the option to share.
It's not perfect, but it's definitely the best system that we have.
Absolutely.
You guys can look at Frank and tell that he's a big time multi-billionaire.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Well, let's go to the phones. Hey, you got an opinion about anything we're talking about, or you've got an opinion about something we're not talking about? We want to hear from you. It's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, and we're going to have fun whether you like it or not. So give us a call, 515-244-0077, and Monty did just that. Monty's going to set us straight. I love Monty. Before I go to Monty, if this is the Monty I'm thinking of, now there's more than one Monty in our listening area, but if this is the Monty that I'm thinking of, he always brings some clarity to the topic. Monty, how you doing?
Fine. First of all, you probably need to take a sedative. You sound a little bit wound up today.
Sorry about that. I was just trying to have fun. I'm on my, I don't know. I stopped counting after about 10 cups of coffee, Monty.
Is that it? I
Yeah.
You took one too many fun pills.
I did. I took too many.
It's scary, but I'm almost going to have to agree 100% with Frank. The difference between the two, and once again, the capitalism, it's your free choice. And once again, that's all over the Bible. Two, once again, you don't see Christ mandating giving anywhere. It's of the free will again. It's spirit-led. It's out of the abundance, and even in Acts, they laid the stuff at the disciples' feet, and then then the disciples redistributed. And once again, I always believe that we have to go back to the two great commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, which basically means you have an authority figure over you. And that's why he's given us the Holy Spirit to listen to redistribute our wealth in a way that will honor that authority, that kingdom. And, of course, the second great commandment.
See what I told you? See what I told you? Monty was going to settle it just like that right here on 99.3 FM.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon. It's 4:21 in the afternoon. This is Max World Live on 99.3 FM The Truth. We're glad that you stuck with us. Monty called in and set us straight. Actually, he didn't set us straight today. He just agreed with Frank.
Amen.
I'm sorry, Monty. That might be the last time you get to call in. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. I always love hearing from Monty.
See, every once in a while, as they say, a blind squirrel finds an acorn. So I'm blind and I found an acorn today.
You know, the problem is the people that don't agree with you, Frank, don't call in.
Well, they need to start.
What happens is they come up to me in different places and they say, how do you put up with that guy?
That's how it works.
And I often tell them I just ignore him. Oh. You know, I have a good way of tuning people out. I just do that.
You plug into your not social device anymore, but your computer.
That's right.
And you just slave away.
That's right.
Hitting them keys.
Hitting them keys. You know, there's a reason, guys, on my door it says Mr. Grouchy Pants. Mr. Grouchy Pants is what it says on my office door. Well, goodness gracious, what are we talking about today? Well, for some reason we got started talking about capitalism because Jeb, our glorious producer, had to talk about business ethics today at Grandview University.
Yes, it's true.
You did. Mm-hmm. What are you learning in your business ethics class about capitalism? Are they teaching you? Grandview is historically anyway a Lutheran school, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: I think the teacher leans on the left-hand side, so I'm getting a left-hand spin on it. But basically, you have two options: you can make money being ethical, or you can make money being not ethical. And I think the latter of the two options makes you more money.
Being unethical.
That you can make more money being unethical.
Sure.
Maybe. But you know, that statement to a degree, and this is something that I struggle with being a business person. There's a lack of faith. And no, I'm not. Just hang on. I'm not talking about prosperity that I can claim the money can come down from the heavens.
My checkbook out.
Yeah, I mean, if you just pray over your checkbook, you'll get all the money. That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, there is a biblical principle here, and I was kind of joking about it earlier. I mean, I wasn't joking. I was being serious. You know, in God's economy, there is something called prosperity. I mean, we see that in an agricultural world. We really do. I have friends who live up closer to the northwest of here in Iowa, and they just had some land, and they just started a little bit of a farm for themselves and making some stuff and giving it to friends. Next thing you know, they had to start a CSA and start selling all this produce that they had created. Because if they didn't get rid of it, if they didn't get it somewhere, they didn't start it getting to people who wanted it, then it was going to go to waste. And yeah, they sold it. That makes sense. That's how it works. Because I work and I make money. When I go to work, I don't produce tomatoes, right? When I go to work, I produce dollars, and those dollars I use to buy tomatoes. But somebody else goes to work and they produce tomatoes, and we work together. Like, is this difficult? Like, is this hard? Like, none of this stuff seems difficult to me. But yet some people think you can't be a capitalist and even be a good moral person.
But when Christ fed the multitudes, notice he said, pick up all the scraps and waste nothing. See, in Israel, even the dogs ate. That's what the Syrophoenician woman came to Christ, and she knew, well, even he says, what do I have to do with thee, And she wanted a blessing, and he's going like, she says, well, I know in that even the dogs eat. So she knew Israel law and Israel tradition better than the disciples knew. So that's what you're saying about the person who's producing. That stuff's going to go to waste, and that would be an insult to God to let what you've grown go to waste, or what He's provided for you to go to waste.
Right, and if you hoard it, right, Micah talks about if you hoard it, just store it up where moth and rust can come and destroy, you should use that money. Robert, you were talking about this. How can we be charitable if we don't have any money, right? You hear about an organization like we're going to hear about on Friday, Safe Water International Ministries, really cool organization. And you think, I really would like to support what they do, but I barely have enough money to take care of my family. The only way to fix that is to make more money so that you can be charitable, right, Robert?
Yeah, well, I think it was also a rude awakening for a lot of people that I knew. I always say that I'm actually getting a second degree in accounting. I got a degree in history, and I naively graduated thinking like, oh, I'm going to save the world and do all this stuff. I was like, well, I got to have money to do all this wonderful stuff, and this generic degree, is not producing, a career that can sustain that, wonderful vision for feeding the homeless, and so you gotta you have to have wealth in order to give it away. Right. There has to be something that you've produced. Do you guys want to add more to this?
Well, just the idea that Christ also says on the same token that there will always be poor among you. So the idea of a prosperity gospel is anti what Christ said, that those who God has blessed, God expects those to share with those who aren't so blessed. So if we do that, everybody will be taken care of, but that's not how some rich do it. They hoard everything to themselves.
And utopia is not possible.
And utopia is not impossible. Not possible.
So that should not be a goal.
How do you define utopia?
Well, you should probably ask a leftist, because I don't really believe in it.
Okay. Well, but the thing that's not possible. What's the thing that's not possible?
Well, everybody is. Well, as Margaret Thatcher said, I think it was, socialism is the equal distribution of misery. Mm-hmm. They want everybody to have a certain minimum amount of income, minimum amount of health care, minimum amount of care, just to make sure they can get by. Well, that's just not possible. There's always going to be the needy among us, and by redistributing the people who are successful to the people who aren't successful, that doesn't make it. That isn't successful.
Harry Blackman's 1965, Justice Harry Blackman's 1965 Equal Protection Clause offered equality of opportunity. And the liberals have twisted that and turned that into equality of results. Mm-hmm. So everybody's got to have the same score. Everybody's got to have the same amount of money. Everybody's got to live in the same house, which is an incentive killer. And as I said, there's inequities in capitalism, but like you say, it's the best system we have.
Anything to add to that, John?
I agree with Frank.
Oh, hey, man. What about me? See, I have to get rid of John, too. John, you can leave. The door's right over there. Yeah. So, no. All right. Let me transition a little bit. We have about another half hour. I want to read a piece of scripture to you. The Apostle Paul wrote to the Thessalonians, to one Thessalonian, just to one singular, okay. Right. One singular, as in 1 Thessalonians. The Apostle Paul said, "Aspire to live quietly and to mind your own affairs, and to work with your hands, as we instructed you, so that you may live properly before outsiders and be dependent upon no one." Dependent upon no one.
Is that me? I sit here silently.
Yeah.
I'm working with my hands.
You are.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's
be like Bob.
Be like Bob.
Be like
Bob.
What about Bob? What about Bob? So let me read that again. "Aspire to live quietly and to mind your own affairs and to work with your hands as we instructed you, so that you may live properly before outsiders and be dependent upon no one." That last line is interesting as we talk about capitalism and socialism, right? The admonishment there is to not be dependent upon your government, but to be self-sufficient, to take care of yourself, to make your own production, to take care of your own basic needs, and to live quietly. Now, this is not what this text is talking about, but it reminds me and helps me transition to something that was asked of me. I don't know where the three of you guys, Iowa State students, sit on the Christian fence, but irregardless, everybody's welcome to this conversation, Christian or not. So I want to hear from you at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text, 515-809-0993. Here's the question. Is Christianity most effective as a countercultural movement or as being the mainstream of a society? So is Christianity more effective being mainstream in a country or as a countercultural movement? I want to hear from you, 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993, Frank.
I'm thinking you would say countercultural.
Don't think about what I want to say. I want to know what you think.
I would say that Christianity ought to be the norm. Being sinful is abnormal. I mean, so we should all be Christians, but in a world of sin where sin dominates, we should be countercultural.
Bob, you want to weigh in on that one?
Nope.
No.
You just sit there quietly.
Just nope.
And work with your hands, Bob. Mind your own business. Tyler, don't leave me hanging. What do you think? Is Christianity...
This is tough.
It's difficult, yeah.
So the mainstream, I would say the mainstream basically is what the United States is right now. And I don't think the church is in a very good place. I think they're easy to sell out. And I think they're willing to go along with anybody. And I think a good example of this is where the church is strongest is in places like China right now, where they're up against the government, they're on their heels, and they're having to fight for what they believe in. And I think they're strongest in that counterculture because they have to show what they stand for instead of showing what they stand against, which is basically what the mainstream church is doing in the United States now.
You think that right now the mainstream church is just really an anti?
An anti, yep.
Yeah. Robert, how about you?
As speaking as someone that voted for Trump, I was one of the most outspoken Trump supporters who condemned a lot of the rhetoric that was coming out of a lot of evangelical pastors, kind of excusing what Donald Trump said, bragging about sexual assault. And I noticed that there's a lot of corruption on the conservative side and on the, let's just be relevant. Let's, try and make sure everyone likes us and, be seeker sensitive. I'm saying both are wrong. Like, we are called to be cultural transformers. I think on the old religious right, what happened was we got into power, we liked it, and we didn't want to give it up. So we became the establishment. And I think a younger generation just kind of got tired of it. And so they're like, they're reading what the Bible is saying. They're saying, no, we're to expect persecution. The best way of dealing with persecution is not to negotiate with it, compromise with it, and saying, well, if we water down our message a little bit, or if we agree to this, you won't agree to, cast us out of society. We are called to be countercultural because, I do believe even in America that, this is a temporary kingdom. My permanent address is ultimately with the kingdom of God.
The question is, do you think Christianity is better as a countercultural movement or as the mainstream? John, what do you think?
I don't have too much to add, and I'm personally not Christian, so my opinion probably might differ, I guess, but I really liked what Taylor said, and I think it holds a lot of truth, that personally it seems to me that Christianity is strongest when it's facing adversity, because I feel like when Christianity is promoted and very widely accepted and embraced as a society, then it's easy for people to kind of become complacent with their faith and not really go above and beyond to live it out every day.
Absolutely. We're going to hear, let's hear from you on this. What do you think? Is Christianity best as a countercultural movement or as the mainstream? Give us a call at 515-244-0077 or send me a text at 515-809-0993. Remember, don't text and drive. This is 99.3 FM The Truth, live and local.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the service manager,
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're big kids. Hey, good afternoon. It is 4:38. Thanks for popping in the car and turning on the radio. And no, I'm not Mac, and I'm not going to do my Mac impression. This is Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy, but this is Mac's World Live. This is the program that you love to listen to on your drive home because it's fun, it's wacky, and really, you know what? You never know what's going to happen. Truth is, none of us know either.
Oh, come on. Just do it one time.
What?
Just do the Mac impression one time.
This is Mac, and you're listening to Mac's World. That's actually the voice that I gave Mr. Duck last night playing with my daughter. That's not what Mac sounds like at all.
Hey, look, we're having a conversation. It's a serious one. The normal cast of characters are here. You know, his name was mentioned just a few minutes ago, and that guy tries to run like one of these big, fancy professional radio broadcasts. It's all over the country. Pafooey. We have fun here in Des Moines on 99.3 FM The Truth every afternoon from 4:30 to 5 at least. You know, this program starts at 3 o'clock. You can listen online at your desk at work, too. It's true. So here's a question on the table. We've got a whole bunch of people in the studio, but really we want to hear from you. The question is, do you think Christianity is better as a countercultural movement or as the mainstream? Now, it's interesting. Ryan, I think, called in yesterday. Ryan is an atheist and a Democrat, I believe he said, or liberal anyway, and he listens. So, Ryan, what do you think? Chris John, I don't know if he is if he's listening today. He's an atheist. He's our resident atheist.
Well, since the campaign is over, he said he's going to have more time to listen because he was an avid Hillary supporter.
He was.
So he's said.
But so I want to know what he thinks.
Yes.
Now I want to know what he thinks about this. And then I warned John that I'd put him on the spot because I didn't know. You know, we've got 3 guys in here from Iowa State, and I didn't know these gentlemen very much, and we getting to know you guys. And John came in, and we got around to him, and he said that he's not a Christian, and I can't remember. You kind of sided with Tyler that maybe as a countercultural movement, it would be maybe stronger or
Yes.
better or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I asked you in the break if you'd be okay with this question, so I'm not putting you totally on the spot. But as someone who's not a Christian, do you think Christianity being the main force in a country would be a good thing or not?
You know, I mean, personally, I was raised in a very, very Catholic household specifically.
Okay.
And I embraced it for most of my life until I thought about it and realized that I just had some fundamental disagreements with it. And so I broke away from it. And when I think about it, I wouldn't want it to be the central force. Like, I wouldn't want it to be like the centerpiece of my society. But I think it can do a lot of good as a counter. What's the word you use? Counter movement in society?
Counterculture movement. Yeah, but a counter movement.
Because I think, especially right now, like mainstream society clearly has some like ethical problems to it and some moral problems. And I think the Christian churches combat those problems in a good way. And I think they do have the correct views on what the moral and ethical right things to do are in a lot of these situations. I don't think they have everything right, but I think they could definitely do a good job combating some of the problems with society. I wouldn't want it to be the centerpieces of my society.
It's fascinating. My favorite atheist is Christopher Hitchens, has since passed away, but he really said that he had a Christian ethic in some areas. Of course, he picked and chose what things he he wanted to agree with. But that's always something that's been fascinating to me. You don't hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm not a Muslim, but I'd really like Muslims to rule the world. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bigot, whatever. Hey, guess what, John? I mentioned Ryan. Is this Ryan from yesterday? Okay, great. So Ryan called in yesterday, and he called back in. Look at that. We didn't scare him away. Thanks, Ryan, for calling in at 515-244-0077. Ryan, the question on the table is Christianity better or more effective as a countercultural movement or as a mainstream one? And Ryan, you wanted to weigh in on that, I guess?
Yeah, I was going to say I believe that it would be more or that it is more effective as a mainstream or main force. And I'm going to use Catholicism, like the guy who was just talking. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Kind of did, but my opinion kind of changes just a little bit on it. I also grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and same thing. I had some issues with some of the things, and then I ended up breaking away from it. But if you look at Catholicism, when they were faced with like adversity, with some of the things that happened in the past, their numbers rapidly were decreasing. So rather than, I guess, like keeping strong to their beliefs, they kind of, at least the church I went to, they kind of started breaking away from some of those things, like birth control, for example. That was absolutely no birth control. That was a sin, and they kind of like started like pushing away from that, and they weren't preaching it as much as they were. And that's why I feel like as a main force, it's kind of stronger, because as soon as they started like facing adversity, they kind of like started going over beliefs in order to keep followers and keep numbers in their church high.
So Ryan, if I understand, one of the things that I think I heard you say was that you recognized under pressure and persecution, the church that you were a part of, or the church that you were around, compromised some of its positions.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
And you see that as negative?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the things that they did change were things that I was not in agreement with. However, yeah, I would say that when it came to that, they kind of like went away from their beliefs in order to keep people there. And that's why I feel like as a main force, when everybody agrees on the same things, and if it was a widespread thing and they wouldn't change anything, I believe that the church itself would have been stronger. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
I think it does. John, you have your hands up. You got a comment?
Yeah, I think we might need some clarity on the question in general, whether we're
Sure.
asking is like the whole ideology or system of beliefs of Christianity, is that more, I guess, productive and effective as the centerpiece of society or as a counter social movement? Or are we saying is like the Catholic Church as a whole, like as in like its number of followers and its believers, is that stronger as a countercultural movement or as a centerpiece of society? Because they're two different questions.
Right. Ryan, could you hear John?
Yeah.
So I think, it's because it seems like what I'm hearing you say might be a little bit different, maybe than what I intended the question to be. So let me rephrase the question as best I can. So the ideas of Christianity, right, which is just a bizarre, because again, the guy who asked this question to me was not a Christian himself. So, but the ideas of Christianity, are they stronger? Do they flourish? Do they do what they're intended to do under persecution, or do they flourish when they're the mainstream? And I think what I hear you saying is that they flourish when they're the mainstream, but it seems to me like, Ryan, that you feel that way because you think maybe their positions might be weak and they would compromise anyway and could eventually go away. Like, do you believe that the church itself could go away, that Christianity could dissolve, and that we could all evolve into much wiser, smarter atheists?
Personally?
Yeah, personally. I'm asking Ryan, yeah.
Yeah. I would say personally, yes, but I have nothing against Christianity.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think personally, yeah, that could be a possibility.
Right, and I think that's fairly common with the atheist community, Ryan. I think that and I mentioned this to a friend of mine that is an atheist. I think that atheism depends upon Christianity to exist.
Absolutely.
As an idea that the Western world progressed in such a way that Christianity got us this far, and now atheism is a move to the atheist past that, beyond that. Is that where you're coming from, Ryan?
Oh, exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Frankie, you were going to add something?
Well, I would just suggest our founding fathers set our nation up to be a counterculture to Christianity, because we had the examples of the Church of England and the papacy all through the Dark Ages of Christianity being mainstreamed. And so clearly our founding fathers wanted to break away from that. We weren't afraid of, we didn't want to kick religion totally out of the public square. We just didn't want a combination of church and state.
Yeah, and I think John, maybe that was kind of going to your point a little bit ago, right? I mean, if you like the ideas of Christianity, they're good, but you don't want that to be forced upon you, and I think Ryan would probably agree with you there. Hey, we're going to keep having this conversation. What do you think? We want to hear from you, 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. Hey, Ryan, thanks for listening to The Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour. Then Salem Radio Network News is coming up next. And then Hank, the Bible Answer Man. I don't know. I wonder what Hank would think about this. Maybe you can call and ask Hank. 888-ASK-HANK. 1-888-ASK-HANK. You can ask Hank what he thinks. Dearest Bible Man, do you believe that Christianity is most effective as a countercultural movement or as the mainstream?
Do we have to use that voice?
Yes. Well, see, the thing is, Robert, he responds to that voice better because that's kind of, he likes the sophisticated, you see, very serious radio man. This has been a fun. I hope this has been entertaining for other people. It's actually been entertaining for me because, like I said, I have a friend who is would not consider himself a Christian. Probably fall kind of in your camp, John. Just sort of believe in God. God seems like there's probably a God. That seems like that makes sense. But he's not really committed to any particular idea. And he was the one who asked me this question. He said, do you think Christianity is more effective as a countercultural movement or as a mainstream movement? And he asked me this question, and I didn't answer him right away. And part of the reason why I didn't answer him right away is because I think Frank's right. My knee-jerk reaction was to say, well, it's better as a countercultural movement. Much for the same reasons, Tyler, that you mentioned. You see, in China and other countries where persecution is going on and the church is sort of rising up and meeting that challenge, so to speak, to a degree, or it's flourishing in that sense. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, Christianity is countercultural. There's really no way that it can be mainstream.
He that loves the world doesn't love Christ. So it's got to be countercultural.
Well, and here's that's not bad, Frank. I don't disagree with you there, but here's kind of what I mean on that. Here's sort of my take on that. Is that what's culturally normal is for me to do what I want to do. Right? In our culture today, if you don't get what you want, you can walk out of school, protest, whatever. I don't know. My daughter's 8. She didn't get what she wants. She does all kinds of different things.
Steal it if you don't got it.
Yeah, if you don't got it, steal it. I don't know. Culture is always going to move towards that which is in my most self-interest, what's most important to me. Genesis, the book of Genesis, begins with God creating the world. Most people that are agnostic at least, believe, okay, yeah, God created the world, whoever that God might be. Then the Bible goes on to say that the first humans that we have recorded, we have Adam and Eve. We have this story about Adam and Eve. And what did Adam and Eve do? They did what looked best to them. God gave them one rule. It's really very simple. Don't eat of this tree over here. You can eat of all these trees. You can do all this stuff. You're free to do a whole bunch of stuff. Just don't do this one thing. And they did the one thing. So they did what was disobedient before God. They did what was right in their own eyes. Culture is always going to do that. Culture is going to continue to move in that direction. We have a text.
Yes, we do.
All right. So the texter said what?
Okay, I think that the church isn't inherently better or worse or more or less effective either way. Christians are called to have a perspective anchored outside of the temporary world we live in. And I think, too, often the church gets bogged down in the biblical understanding of temporal issues and loses track of the more long-term view that an eternal life should require. And yes, I'm back in the listening audience. It's Chris John.
Oh, that's Chris John. Then I can argue with it. Can you read it again? Because I was going to be nice and not argue with it. But now I know who it is, and so I can be snarky.
Okay. I think that the church...
I get to be snarky!
I think that the church isn't inherently better or worse.
You're wrong.
Or more or less effective either way.
You're wrong.
Christians are called to have a perspective anchored outside of the temporary world we live in.
Wrong.
And I think too often the church gets bogged down in the biblical understanding of temporal issues and loses track of the more long-term view that an eternal life should require.
I agree.
How do you agree with that gobbledygook?
Because they are getting bogged down. God was always taking away from the temporal. He was always trying to take the mind away from the temporal water and turn it to the eternal water.
Okay, really quick. Let's define our terms. So in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, he was like, crap, that's temporal. What have I done? I created a temporal thing. I created a material world.
No,
I really didn't want to do that. Whoa.
This is before sin now.
Oh, but then sin entered the world, and he was like, crap, what am I going to do with this material world? Oh, how long is it going to take before I can destroy it? What kind of gobbledygook nonsense is that? That's not even good Christianity. That's not even biblical Christianity. That's spiritually gobbledygookness to say that, God and Christians should only be concerned with the eternal life and that which happens after death, and the rest of us can go on with living in the material world.
That sounds like Gnosticism.
It does sound like Gnosticism. It absolutely sounds like Gnosticism. It's not really biblical Christianity. So maybe I misunderstood the texter, or maybe I misunderstand you, Frank. Do I misunderstand you?
I don't know. I was just simply making the point that when Christ talked to the Samaritan woman at the well, and the debate was over the temporal water that she was going to give him, and he turned her focus on to the eternal water. Drink from the eternal well that you will never be thirsty. You drink temporal water, you're going to be thirsty again. So I think what Christian is saying that.
But did Jesus care about temporal water?
Yes, he obviously cared about temporal needs, but he always quickly pivoted to the eternal. Don't get caught up in the temporary thing. Don't get caught up with what's in front of your face. Look beyond your temporal need. Put your treasures in heaven. Don't build your stuff up here on earth where the rust and the moths take care of it. So clearly he was always looking forward to the eternal, not the temporal.
I think Christian just wanted Frank and I to fight.
Oh, well, that's not probably
fair.
A good plan.
You cheated. You tricked us. You tricked her. Anyway, no, but in all seriousness, though, Christian, what do you think about this, man? Look, so, and John, what do you think about that? I mean, it's really fascinating. The culture is always going to say whatever I want to do is right. And morality right now, the populace doesn't agree with biblical morality.
No,
it doesn't. And so Christianity, our ideas of what right or wrong are either accurate or they're inaccurate, meaning they're right or they're wrong. And if they're right, then we just got a rebellious world that's rebelling against their creator, or we have a bunch of idiots who are following a pretend deity, and they need to get on track and just realize what's really going on and that we're evolving past this very binary reality of gender and these sort of things. So, I mean, it's a complicated question, and I think that if we only focus on the spiritual and we only focus on the eternal and salvation, we're going to miss the conversation because there's a lot of conversation going on in the here and now. You know what I mean? I mean, how do you talk, Frank, about gender identity if all that matters is where someone goes after they die?
Well, that's where the counterculture kicks in, and we speak truth to the power. We speak truth to what's going on, and that calls people out of the world. The friend of the world is not a friend of Christ. So clearly, we want people to come out of the world. We want them to come out of mainstream, and we want them to come into the counterculture.
I think we can carry on this conversation tomorrow because I want to talk about this. My friend who mentioned this, he talked about the Amish. He kind of used the Amish as an example. I can talk about them because they're not listening because they don't have radios.
Well, you better hurry up and talk about them.
Amish. That's really bad radio. Hey, stick around. Salem Radio Network News is coming up next. Hank, the Bible Answer Man, thanks so much for listening. I hope you had a fun time. I had a pretty good time. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. We're going to continue this conversation and so much more here on Mac's World, live and local on 99.3 FM, The Truth.